Alright guys, working with float and inline block positioning was a bit challenging. It was great, it was interesting actually. We learned how to position our elements side by side, we learned how to create reusable and flexible layout. But sometimes we may need more control over elements. We may want to precisely position our element on a page. But in that case, float and inline block positioning will not do the trick. Float and inline block can be only used to create multi-column layouts. But with float and inline block level elements, we cannot position very precisely according to our need. So in that case, we have a position property. With the position property, we can uniquely position our elements on a page. It allows us to position our element very precisely. The position property accepts 4 different values, that is static, relative, absolute and fixed. And the position property works in connection with box offset properties. We have 4 different box offset properties, that is top, right, left and bottom. And the box offset properties exactly position an element by moving it in different directions. So now let's discuss all these different values for the position property. So we will start with the position static. Alright, the static value for the position property is the default value. That means by default every element is a static element. We cannot move the static element on a page. For example, we have a page here which is having one header here, then 3 different columns, then at the end we have footer. So for example, if I want to move this element, so we can apply position property on this element. So here we have our column. So we have call class. So for this, let's say call 1. So we will first experiment our position property with the static value. So let's apply position here, then we'll say static value. Now if I save the file and check out our page here, there will be no changes. The position property works along with the box offset properties. So let's apply few box offset properties. Maybe left, say 40px, and also we'll say top 40px. These are the box offset properties. Soon we will see how exactly box offset properties works. So but let's experiment here first. So here we again see there is no changes. That's the static element. We cannot move a static element on a page. So now let's see other values for the position property. So we have next relative value. So let's apply first relative value, then and we will keep this box offset properties. Now save the file and check out our page here. We have applied this call on every element actually. So I just want to apply this position property on call 1. So let's change the class here now. Alright, great. We have just seen the first element, the first column is moved because we have applied position relative to the column first. Now let's apply some border also so that we can differentiate. Maybe 1 pixel solid black. In fact, let's make it 2 pixel. Alright, this is our relative element. So how exactly relative element works? Let's see here. With the relative value, we can reposition our element anywhere on our page, and the relative element accepts all the box offset properties. So now let's see what is exactly box offset properties. There are 4 different box offset properties. We have left, top, right and bottom. The box offset properties specifies how exactly an element can be positioned and in which direction. Actually, the box offset properties works with relative, absolute and fixed position elements. So if the element is relatively positioned or absolutely or fixed, then only we can apply this box offset properties. And the box offset properties, what it does, it provides some space from any direction. So if I say left 40px, that means this left box offset will provide offset from the left side and the element will be moved towards the right side by 40px. And similarly, if I say top 40px, that means the box will get offset of 40px from the top and it will move towards down. That's exactly how box offset properties works. So here, as soon as we applied left 40px, top 40px, our element moved from left and top by 40px. Alright, now let's see something more about relative elements. So actually, whenever we apply relative value for the position property, that means that element can be shifted from its original position. It won't disturb any other element on the page. So we can see here that it didn't disturb other elements here. It just moved from its original position. So the relatively positioned element takes the reference from its original position. So whenever we want to move an element, it will be moved from its original position. So now element has moved by 40px from its left original position and as well as from its top original position. So if I say, for example, here right 40px and then bottom 40px, so let's see where it goes. It will go in opposite direction. So now it is moving from right side as well as from bottom side towards the left and top side. Sometimes the relatively positioned element can also overlap or underlap on other elements, as we have seen here when we have applied left as well as top. So as we can see here, the element is moving from its original position, that is from here, from somewhere here towards right and bottom, but it is overlapping on the second column, on the second element actually. So let's move a bit more, maybe say 80px, keep top 40px only. So save the file, check out of this. So we can see the element is overlapping, but it is not disturbing the original position of other elements. So the position of column 2 and column 3 is not disturbed. Alright, this is all about relative elements. So let's see one more thing about the relative elements. Actually we will see about the box offset properties here. So let's apply, this time we will keep left 80px as well as from right also. Say 80px again, this time we'll say maybe 100px, then top, and also we'll say bottom, say 60px. Save the file and check out our page here. No changes, as we have applied left as well as right as well as top and bottom. Whenever we apply left as well as right box offset properties, the left property gets more priority than the right one. As we can see here, the element has moved from the left side, but we have also applied from the right. It is not moving from the right side. Actually, it depends upon the language. Right now we have our page in English language, and in English language we always start from the left side. So left always gets priority here in the English language. But if our page would have been in Arabic, and in Arabic we start from the right side, so right property would have got more priority than the left property. And in between top and bottom, here we can see again here the top is getting more priority than the bottom. In any language we always start from the top, so between top and bottom, top always gets priority here. Alright, so we can get rid of this bottom as well as right. Save the file. No changes. That's great. Alright, now let's get back into normal here. We will get rid of this property and check out our page. Alright, everything is normal here. After relative, we have next value, that is absolute, for the position property. The absolute value for the position property is different from the relative one. The absolute position elements also accept all the box offset properties, but what it does, it removes the element from the normal flow. So if we apply position absolute, the element will be removed from its original position. So let's check it out here. So we'll apply this time position absolute. Save the file and check out our page here. Alright, as soon as we refresh our page here, we saw that the column 1 is coming at the top and the column 2 and column 3's position has been changed. So what is happening here? The column 1 has lost its original position just because we have made it position absolute. So the column 2 and column 3 is positioned again to fill up this gap here. Alright, whenever we apply absolute value for the position property for any element, the element gets absolutely positioned on its original position only, but this time on the Z axis. So as we can see, we haven't applied any box offset, so that's why element didn't move from here, but it has gone from the normal flow right now this column 1 is on the Z axis. The X and Y plane position has been lost by this column 1 just because it is an absolutely positioned element. So now let's apply box offset properties and then we will see how box offset properties work with the absolutely positioned element. So let's apply here. So first let's apply left maybe 10 px and then top also 10 px. Now save the file and check out our page here. Alright, the element has been shifted from its original position to here. So how exactly box offset properties works with absolute elements we'll see now. Alright, whenever we make any element absolutely position, the element can take two reference points. Either it can take the reference point from the body of the page or it can take the reference point from its parent. If the parent is relatively or absolutely positioned, that means right now this column 1 is inside this container. So if this element, if the container is relatively positioned, then this column 1 will take the reference point from the container parent. But here the container is not having position relative or absolute, so that's why the column is now taking the reference point from the body of the page. Now let's move a bit more. So right now this time let's say right 10 px and then bottom 10 px. So now again this time also it will take the reference point from the window, so it will be coming somewhat here. So let's refresh our page, check out. As we can see, the element is on the right bottom corner. That's because it is taking the reference point from the body of the page. Alright, now let's see how it can be positioned according to its parent. So right now we have this container as a parent. So let's say, so actually we can also make reference point to this section. So let's apply to this section as position relative and then we will move this column 1. So let's check it out. So for the section we will apply position relative. Now the parent of this column 1, or we can say grandparent of this column 1, is relatively positioned. So now the column will take the reference point from its parent, that is section here. If I refresh my page, so now we can see from the right side it is taking 10 px and then from the bottom side it is taking 10 px, and this is the whole background white color here. From here to here is the parent of this column 1, so it is taking the reference point from the section. So there are two ways to position absolutely. That means one, we can take the reference point from the body of the page, or we can take the reference point to its parent if the parent element is having either relative or absolute value for the position property. Alright, now let's see one more thing about the absolute elements. So this time we will apply left as well as right, both the offset properties, and we will see which one takes more priority. So this time again left 10 px and right 10 px. As we can see here again that between left and right, left got the priority. Again here we have the same scenario. It depends upon the language. If the page is in English, it will take the left priority, or else if the page would have been in Arabic, the right property would have taken more priority. So now let's experiment between top and bottom here. So let's say top, say maybe 10 px, and check out our page here. Alright, actually this column 1 is starting from top also as well as bottom also. For that there is another scenario that we will see now. That is, if the element has fixed width as well as fixed height, between the left and right, left got priority depending upon the language, and between top and bottom, top always gets the priority. If the column 1 would have fixed height, because right now the column has no fixed height here, we haven't applied any fixed height here, that's why between top and bottom, both top is also getting priority and bottom is also getting priority. Now if I say here, let's fix the height of the column, say 300 px. Now not 300 would be bigger one, let's apply 180 here. Now save the file. Now between top and bottom, top will get the priority here. As we can see, the top is actually, let's reduce the size a bit more, say 120 px here. Alright, so now we can see between top and bottom, top is getting priority. because the element is having fixed width as well as fixed height. So whenever we apply left, right, top, bottom, all these four box offset properties, between left and right, left will get more priority, between top and bottom, top will get more priority if the elements width as well as height is fixed. But say the elements width height is not fixed. So for example, now let's apply to this call one width auto. Then we will apply all these properties left, right, height, top, bottom here. So actually we will get rid of this height also. So we don't want fixed height as well as we don't want fixed width. So we apply width auto because here we have already applied 30.33%. So we have overwritten here by width auto. So now let's see how element is getting positioned here. Now our element is starting from all the four sides, that means from the left side also as well as from the right, from top as well as from the bottom also. And we can see this gap just because we have applied the offset of 10 px on all the four sides. Now if I'll say 0 0 0 from all the four sides, then it will try to cover from all the four sides. So let's say 0 0 here, 0 0 0 and again 0. Now if I save the file and check out our page here, we can see that the element moved, but it didn't start from 0 0 0 and 0 because we have some margin on this column also. So if I'll get rid of those margin, that is 0, actually we have applied some margin from the on the call class, that is 1.5%. now if I from here, if I'll override to margin 0, so we will see that the element will try to cover the whole box. Now we can see that the element is covering whole section that is relatively positioned, and this absolutely positioned element is starting from left 0, right 0, top 0 and bottom 0. Alright, there is one more thing that I forgot to mention for the absolutely positioned element, that it changes the display property also. So let's get back into normal here, position absolute, that is fine, we'll get width as it is, we need margin also. Then actually let's get rid of this left 0, right 0, then we'll say just same, maybe 20 px this time, and then again here top maybe 20 px. Now save the file, we will be having everything normal here. Alright, this is it for the absolute elements. Actually let's get rid of this position absolute. Alright, everything is fine here. We are supposed to see one more thing about the absolute position element, that is it changes the display property also. So whenever we apply position absolute to any element, it removes the element from the normal flow of the page. That scenario we have seen, but it also changes the display property. So now if I'll say, for example, here we have our header. Now let's say the header position absolute. So let's target our header here. So header, and then let's say position absolute. Now save the file, check out our page here. As we can see, again the header has been removed from the normal position, as well as now it is taking the space according to the content, that is it is wrapping as well as some padding. We can see a block level element is covering the space according to the content. So that means absolute position changes the display property. And at the same time, if we apply a position absolute to inline level element, it may start accepting the height and width. So alright, let's get back into normal here. Our page really looks bad right now. Alright, so get rid of this, save the file and check out our page here. Okay, now everything is fine, good. Alright, next we have fixed value for the position property. The fixed value for the position property is very similar to the absolute positioning. The way we have seen absolute position, it also works similarly. However, the fixed positioning will be always relative to the browser viewport. That means whenever we will fix an element, it will always take the reference point from the browser viewport. And also the fixed position element do not scroll with the page. For example, if we have a page, so I can show you one example. For example, this is our page. If I scroll this page, we can see this get our curriculum button is fixed here. So that's what it does. Whenever we apply position fixed, the element get fixed. it does not scroll with the page. Alright, let's experiment the fixed value here for the position property. Now let's say, for example, call 1, we will say position fixed, save the file. We will not apply any box offset properties now and check out our page here. Again, the same thing we are seeing as we have seen on absolute element. That means the fixed element also gets removed from the normal flow of the page and it loses its original position. So we can see here that as soon as we made this column 1 position fixed, so column 2 and column 3's position changed and they try to fix this empty space. Alright, as we know that the fixed element always gets fixed, so if we will try to scroll our page, this element will be fixed. Right now we can't scroll because we don't have much element on this page so that we can scroll. So let's add few. Let's go here inside this section. Let's apply few paragraphs here. So we will take again dummy text, few more paragraphs, 2 and 3. Now save the file, and actually we will also change the font size here. So let's target our P font size, we can say 20px, that would work fine. Refresh your page. Actually the paragraph is in white color, so let's change the color also. Color maybe 27272, yeah, that's fine. Now if I refresh my page here, we can see here, so we have enough content here. Now we have the ability to scroll our page, as we can see a scroll bar here. So as we scroll this page, we will find that the column 1 position is fixed. It is not moving as we scroll our page, just because we made the position of the column 1 fixed. So that's why it is not moving according to our page. So let's apply some box offset properties. So again, let's say left. This time we'll say left 30px, again top 30px. Now save the file. Alright, so now our box, actually we will make it to the right. Now save the file, check out our page. Yeah, nice. Now as we can see here, the position of the column 1 is fixed from right 30px as well as top 30px, and the fixed element always gets the reference point from the window. That's why we see this column 1 is moved from the window by 30px. This is how position fixed work. And at the same time, if we make any element position fixed, its display property also gets changed. A block level element will start getting the space according to the content. Inline level element may start accepting the width and height. Alright, let's get back into normal here. So if we will remove this fixed position, we want each and everything normal. So save the file, check out our page. Great, everything is fine. We will get rid of that paragraph also. Perfect. Now page looks clean. Alright, next we have z-index property. So what z-index property does? Actually, we might have seen here that whenever we apply position absolute or relative or fixed, the elements are getting overlapped. For example, let's overlap all of these elements on top of each other. So for that purpose, we will use our position property, but this time we will position precisely all 3 elements. So we will target all 3 elements individually this time. So call 2, call 3. So for the call 1, we'll say position absolute, then right say 40px, then top also 40px. Fine. Then we will target our column 2, that is call 2, call 2, then again position absolute. Actually, let's copy and paste. Yeah, but this time we will say 80px from the right also, and top 80px. Okay, let's copy and paste. So we have call 3. This time we will say 120px and 120px. Let's change the background color of call 2 and call 3 so that we can differentiate each and every column. So let's say background color, this time red, and call 3 background color maybe yellow. Now save the file. Now all of these 3 columns will be positioned Absolutely, but it will take the reference point section because this section is relatively positioned. So it will take the reference point from its parents. So this is the parent here. So now let's check out our page here. So what happened just now here is that we made each and every element inside this section position absolute. So each and every element lost their position and that position get empty. So this footer is trying to fill up that gap. And this space we see because we have applied some padding here also for the section. Yeah, that is 48 pixel. That is why we see this 48 pixels of white space. All right, we can see our three columns. That is, green is the first column, red is the second column, and yellow is our third column. But we can also see each and every column is overlapping each other. So in this case we have a z index property which will decide the order of this column. That means whether we want to show our green box at the top and yellow at the bottom or red, anywhere we can decide the order here also. So that purpose we have a z index property. What z index property does? The z index property accepts some values. The value can be any number. So let's apply z index value for the call 1. So z index, say 1 here, and the by default each and every element has the z index value 0. So each and every element's order will be decided if they are overlapping each other will depend upon the position of the element inside the HTML document. So right now we can see that yellow is on top because third column is coming after first and second. That's why it is on top. As we have changed the z index property of the column 1, that is z index 1, the column 1 will be coming on top. So we can see here the column 1 is on top. That's the z index value because all of these element is having z index 0. That's the default value for the z index. Alright, now let's change the z index value for the red. Let's see. So we can apply any value in negative as well as positive. So for the z call to, we can say z index maybe 3. So now column 2 is on top. So this is how we can say any values for the call 3. We can say z index in minus also, say minus 3. So any values you can say. As we have said z index minus 1, so by default the footer is also having z index 0. So this went below the footer. So that's how z index works. If the elements are overlapping on each other, you can decide which element you want to show. Alright, there is one more condition with the z index property is that it only works with the element which are relatively positioned or absolutely or fixed position. So then only z index property will work. It does not work with the position static. So whenever we want to apply z index property, the element must have either relative, absolute or fixed value for the position property. Alright, so let's get back our page into the normal flow. This looks really bad here. So now we will remove this position absolute and all. Let now save the file, check out our page. Great. Alright, this is all about the position property. We can position an element using this property anywhere on our page, anywhere on our window. There is one more thing I would like to talk here, that whenever we need to create layout, the layout still will be created using floats or inline block. Whenever we need to create multiple columns inside our page, we will use those float and inline positioning only. But we will not use this position property to create layout. This property will come in handy whenever you need to fix an elements on our page or you want to move precisely anywhere on the window. For example, here the whole layout has been created using either flexbox or grid or floats, but the thing is, to create layout we haven't used any position property. But whenever we needed to fix an element, for example here this button, so we have, for fixing this we have used position property. Or sometimes, for example here also, if you want to position some element according to its parent, so we can use position absolute or position relative, something like that. So never use position property to lay out or to create columns and all. Use always float as well as inline block until and unless we learn about the flexbox and all.